Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Hey! Gavin's
I can't eat. Can everyone eat?
Welcome back, Coffee with Closers. Today we have a special guest, Chris Craddock. Chris, welcome to the show, my man. How are you, dude?
I'm excited to be here with you boys, man. This is so fun. You guys are all buds of mine, people that I love regardless. And the fact that all four of us get to be on this together, how fun is that? Come on.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Very cool. Usually Don zoomed in really a lot. Today we zoomed out a little bit. Yeah. Trying to figure out that sweet spot for our buddy here.
Well, it's a brand new studio for me, and we're still trying to figure out camera angles. And this is literally the first time I've used it. So I think what we were trying to do is get the background, obviously, because it's a cool back. And this is 85-inch TV behind me.
No, that thing is massive, bro. Yeah. It's awesome looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you need to just bring the camera closer, Don. I think that might solve it.
Well, I'm gonna have my guy come in here and do that while we're doing this. So we're playing right now, guys. I get to play with technology. I got all my stuff here. So anyway, let's talk about the good stuff.
Yeah,
I love it though,
awesome.
Don. I think it's gonna be cool, man. I love new things. I love studios. I love that you got the TV in there with the interactive background. Very, very cool. Very cool. Let's all start with talking about real quick where we're at. I'm home. I'm here in my office in St. Louis. Sounds like Don is in a new office. Is it a new office?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have a new office we moved into a couple months ago, and this is actually a studio we're building now. This is about 700 square feet of space where I'm in a podcast studio room here, and just outside the space, I have another large room that we're going to do like 4 different sets. So it's going to be. This is all for content.
Dude, that is awesome. Gavin, every time I talk to you, you're in a different city, bro. Where are you at today?
I'm in Michigan right now.
You're in Michigan?
I'm in the RV. I'm in the RV again. I'm back. So, yeah, I'm here. I just actually hooked up my camera, so my quality's a little better.
Dude, it's way better.
Good. I mean, what's crazy, seeing as Don was talking about it, check this out. Look, this is my laptop. Look how dark it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of crazy, huh? Like the camera's actually making it light. So yeah, but I'm good. I'm in Michigan, and it's been kind of a echo. It's been kind of a crazy few weeks. I mean, we were in Florida together. Me, you, and all of us, all
Craddock
4 of us in
was there
Florida.
too,
Craddock
bro.
was there as too, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had that. Then I went to Phoenix, and then got back here Sunday. So yeah, it's been a crazy week. And apologies, guys, if anyone was with us last week. I know our audio, and we were walking around hotels, but we didn't. We had a goal that we're not missing a coffee with closers.
We're not missing, man. You got to be consistent.
Made it happen.
And that's such a good lesson for anybody watching. Like, the newbies, right? Sometimes it takes people several months to do a deal, and that's normal. Right. But the consistency is what sets aside those who do that first deal and do 2-3 deals a month and eventually scale up to 5, 10, 15 deals in a month. It's the consistency. And Gavin, I love it, man. I remember we were sitting there and we're like, man, we got, this is a big venue and the internet's not that great and it's crowded and we're tired because we were out drinking last night. Like, do we just skip? And we're like, no, we can't skip consistency. That's the name of the game.
Absolutely.
So I love it.
Number
so
one in
RP, he is in Michigan. Don's back. Look at that headshot. Handsome mofo over here. Chris, where are you at? Are you at home? Are you at the office? Where are you at today, buddy?
Yeah, I actually just had a closing, and so it was running a little late. So I found a little office here at the title company. So I'm sitting here at the title company. Dude, and
coffee with closers. This guy's closing deals. Literally. Right now, he's closing deals. Dude, that's awesome. Well, guys, let's give Chris a few minutes to give a quick intro on, who is Chris, all things Chris, for any of the listeners and the viewers. Chris, this is growing. Usually we have, anywhere between 30 and 50 people that come watch live, and then obviously it's recorded, and there's these videos that they can see elsewhere, and the numbers are starting to climb right now. So, dude, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about Chris Craddock, man. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, well, like I said at the beginning, I'm so thankful to be here with you guys. You guys are all just great guys, people that I'm so honored to be able to call friends. And yeah, actually, David, looking forward to in a couple weeks flying jets with you, like literally flying jets in Tampa. I cannot believe that.
I'm not gonna lie, I bottled it. I could be there, but I just can't. Like, I hate flying, period. And then the thought of like people saying that the G-force and all that, and you feel sick, and I'm like, no, this is not for me. But you guys are gonna have a lot of fun.
I'll tell you what, Top Gun's one of my favorite movies, and Top Gun 2 is coming out this year, so got to do it now. But about myself, so here's a little bit about myself is I graduated college in 2000, went on staff with an organization called Young Life. I loved Young Life, changed my life, thought it was awesome. After about 3 years, my wife got pregnant, and with Young Life, I mean, I was making like $20,000 a year in the DC area. So, I mean, it was, we were making it happen, but it was a little rough. And so I went to the library, checked out every book on investing, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like every other book they had at the local library, and just went out and started knocking on doors of distressed properties. I mean, I didn't even know what to do, like literally, except here's people that were distressed. And it's so funny. I kind of quasi JV'd that turned into a partnership on my first couple of deals because I literally found somebody that said he wanted to sell. And then I'm like, well, what do I do now? And so I didn't have any contracts. The internet wasn't there. I couldn't look stuff up. So I just found a real estate agent that I partnered with, honestly, which was kind of crazy. And then made 12 times what I made in a year in the next 4 months. And so that was great. And I used that money to continue doing ministry stuff. And I guess it was 2011. I have 6 kids, which I don't know. It took me forever. I know it took me forever to figure out what caused it, but now I can keep that from happening, So, but yeah, no, 2011 with all the kids that we had, money started running out. So I was doing all these crazy things to earn side money, which if you ever see me, you'd be like, these hands are not crazy. I made money as a hand model at one point in time, $300 as a hand model. You look at my hands and say, I don't believe you, right?
A hand model. You were a hand model? I did not know that about you.
I was doing all these side, it's like Zoolander, only like I don't have the face for it, but apparently I had the hand for it, right? So, I was doing all these side things. Like one of my buddies owned a carpet business. So like whenever basements would flood, I'd like rip out carpet for them. Literally when they'd install carpet, I'd be the guy that go with a vacuum and vacuum up the little carpet pieces everywhere. Just anything to be able to make money.
You've come a long way, man.
That's awesome.
Holy cow.
I mean,
but I love this. I want to keep talking about these little things for a minute, man, because we all start somewhere, right? We don't jump in making 7 figures out the gate. We got to hustle. We got to earn it, right? And in the beginning, you didn't know, certain things that you do today, and you were doing odd jobs like hand modeling and vacuuming. I love it, dude.
That's awesome. I didn't know that either. That is great.
Dude, Gavin, you could be modeling with that new camera, by the way. It's crystal clear, bro. You look great.
It is.
I appreciate it. Which angle do you like?
Beard modeling gigs, man.
No, I was thinking, I'm like Chris. I should be a hand model.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It was just crazy, but I mean, I ended up getting set up with somebody to do some government contracting stuff. Where literally, I was working ministry like more than full time. I've always liked to work. So I worked a lot, but then I just couldn't afford to put food on the table. So there was this contracting job that started at like 3 a.m. until like 6:30 a.m. So I would do that. I'd wake up, do that, and then I'd go and work, do ministry stuff forever. And so anyway, bottom line was at some point I was like, I made so much money in real estate. Why am I doing all of these other crazy things? And
when did you get started in real estate, Chris?
Well, when I started flipping the houses originally, it was 2003. And then I made a bunch of money, continued doing ministry. And then it was 2011 that I started I started flipping houses again. And at that point, all the distressed properties, the way that I marketed, the way that I found people, they were all short sales at that point. And so at that point, you could still buy short sales at a massive margin. And so I got back in and started making a bunch of money flipping short sales again. And I realized the bank was going to pay a real estate agent, or they were just going to wipe it off if there was no agent on there. So I got licensed as a real estate agent during that time. And when I was in ministry, we always had massive programs and massive amounts of people that I would lead. And so I ended up reading Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and just saw that there was a color by numbers path to netting $1 million in the retail world. And there's a lot of stuff that led to it. I'm simplifying it, but started building a retail team in 2014. And during that time, I realized that I did so much on the investor world as well that I just needed to bring those two together. And then when I brought those two together, it was really like, rocket fuel. And, the team just started growing and expanding. And now this year, we're going to do about $200 million in volume in retail business, do a lot of investing as well, own a bunch of rentals. I have 11 businesses that I'm the owner of. And it's just, that's where we're at.
I don't think we've ever had a coffee with closers with a guy at a title company closing deals. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Holy
that's awesome.
cow,
So
that is truly amazing.
So Chris,
you are crushing it, bro. I'm so happy to get to call you a friend, and I'm grateful for this hour that we get to spend today. So I just want to say, on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing some gold nuggets with us, man. So you started in the brokerage or as an agent, right? Essentially, that's where you first started, or no?
Well, I flipped in 2003. I flipped in 2011, and then when I started deciding to go big, it was 2014 that started really doing the agent thing.
Okay.
But then what you did was you then circled back. This is the cool thing. So you were as an investor, then you went onto the retail side. I think you have, Chris, if not the biggest or definitely top 3 in the DC area, right, for real estate companies, which is fantastic. So good job on that. But now you have the ability to where you've now brought them back together, where you would be what we would look for as an investor friendly agent and agent company with all your agents, right? Because you work with investors. Now, I'm not licensed, and I don't think these two are either. But we're always looking in our businesses to work with people that are licensed, they understand the investment side. Because I love agents and I hate them, and that's just me personally. Because sometimes they're just ridiculous, but sometimes they're amazing as well. And I think it just depends on them being creative, right? That's what I look for in an agent. Not that they've just been to, realtor school and they're just giving you this is how, because this is the way, and all that nonsense. They're looking at creative ways to work with us, and that's what I like about you, is that you've brought two different things together and made it work. So talk about that a little bit. How are you doing that?
Yeah, well, so what happened was in my retail business, I still remember my third year. So I had massive growth and then massive growth. And the third year I had minor growth, but I felt like I was working so much harder. And I remember a mentor of mine said this to me. They said, if you grow just by working harder, you're kind of cheating, because at some point you run out of time, right? Like the real great people are the ones that figure it out and learn how to do it smarter rather than harder, which actually brings me to one of the best books I've ever read. And honestly, I'd never hear about it in real estate circles. It was somebody in the tech industry that told me about it. It's called Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. And the whole idea was, it's creating a strategy. And so what happened was this mentor said, essentially, you got to stop looking for where you're going to find that next one deal in the retail space. Where are you going to find 5 deals, 10 deals, 50 deals out of one relationship? And I think that was the big key there, because I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I came from the investor background. I own a construction company. I know how to do that kind of stuff. So I could work with builders, which, now I do. But I started thinking, but I really understand the investment business. And so there was an investor who, he's one of the biggest wholesalers in the country. Like, I mean, almost everybody knows him. Like just massive business. Well, I wasn't friends with him at the time. He's since become one of my best friends. But I started just reaching out to him like crazy and was just like, hey man, send me your dead leads, because I knew that we could grow it like crazy. And what he said to me, he's like, Chris, I've lost. Like, I finally got in touch with him because he's like, I just don't want to talk. I don't want to deal with the retail side of stuff. They started a brokerage at one point. He said they lost money. They brought in in-house agents. They lost money. They sent stuff over. They lost money. And what happened was they said, like, listen, we're sending it to one of the top Keller Williams agents in the world. And I've sent 1,000 leads to this person. And in the last 6 months, they've closed 6 of them. 6 out of 1,000. They're like, it's not worth our time. And so I just kept calling. And one of my phrases in life that I live by is persistence breaks resistance. Right. And so, so I just kept calling and I was being nice. Right. Like, you know, I'm a likable guy, I think. And I get along with people. So like, they weren't like wanting to, you know, tell me to F off, but they were just like, no, we're not interested. Well, at one point, the COO was like, okay, we'll send you 150 leads. So they sent me 150 leads. 70 of them were like gone, right? They'd already listed. They've already sold to an investor. 30 of them were out of area. So I had like 40 leads. And I thought to myself, if this other girl did 6 deals out of 1,000, I got to do 6 deals out of 40. Okay. I'm going to do whatever I can, like sell ice, like ketchup popsicles to women in white gloves kind of
This
sale.
is such a great story.
Like, I'm going to do this.
Story.
And so I ended up getting 6 people to list their house. And I called them and I said, hey, I got 6 people signed up. I need to send you the referral check. What's the number or what's your W-9 so I can send you this referral check? And he kind of laughs. He's like, wait, you got 6?
Like, no way. No way. Prior to this, it was 1,000 leads for 6. And you got how many sent to you?
Yeah, I had 40 that I could work with. But here's what he told me. He was like, Chris, you kept calling us and pestering us and bugging us. I literally told Matt, like their sales manager, he's like, I told Matt to give you leads that were 5 years old so that we wouldn't
go away.
But so that you would hit a brick wall and leave us alone.
And you turned 50 leads into 6 listings?
Yeah. So then we came in and started building this thing out. And honestly, here's the crazy thing. We send them an average between $50,000 and $60,000 a month in referral fees from my retail business now. So like literally almost $750,000 in deals that were literally sitting dead in their database. I don't care how much you make. That's going to be a game changer for any business. It's going to move the needle. And so that's kind of what we did. And actually that was the start of creating REI Revive, which is kind of teaching investors how to monetize it. Because most investors have all tried giving it, and it just doesn't work. I mean, a buddy of ours, that's in a mastermind with the 4 of us up in Michigan was telling me that he sends stuff over and he's like, Chris, I'm so shocked when I actually get paid on stuff. He's like, I send like so many every month. And he said, shocking when I get paid. So that was the fun thing, to be able to just kind of crack the code on how to monetize these leads that are just sitting there dead in the database.
Dude, I love it.
That's awesome.
Let's take a step back for 1 second. So we had a question a second ago here, and it says, it was from Matt Smith. He says, what kind of business do you own, and what's the sort and best business? So I want to build on that though. Chris, you said you owned 11 businesses. This is a public challenge. This is live, bro. Can you name all 11 of them?
All right. So I will say this. This is something I can, but I want to say this. So Gary Keller said this. Gary Keller said you can have as many businesses as you want as long as somebody else's face is on each of those businesses that's responsible for it. So let me see if I can get them all. All right.
And if you can't, that's still going to be awesome, man.
Retail business, insurance, construction, title, my wife owns the lending business. I've got a legal shield business. I've got a fix and flip business. I've got a coaching business. I've got a rental portfolio. I've got my EXP downline. Oh, no. And I know I have another one and I can't remember.
That's all right. You'll come to. Dude, 10 out of 11 is massive. Guys, he has 11 streams of income. right? We've all heard this before, right? The average millionaire has what, 5, 6, 7 streams of income. There's no reason you have to stop at 5, 6, 7, right? Get to 11. I'm sure Chris.
Oh, hard money.
Now,
Hard money. I do
have
hard
12
money
or
lending.
13.
Hard money lending. That's hard money lending.
He's got all 11 of them.
All right,
Holy
there we
cow.
go.
Hey, I want to point out something. Look at all of them. At least 5 or 6 all serve each other. Right,
Yes.
that's the unique thing that you all need to pay attention. He has one that can list. He has the construction to do the work, the title company to close. He has the lender to lend the money. So all of these are serving each other. So he's making money on each one rather than giving it to somebody else.
Man, I love it. Right? It's what do they call that? Vertically integrated.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. I heard.
Let's roll with it. It sounded good.
Okay. So Matt says, "Whoops, I meant the worst and the best." Great question, Matt. So of the 11, what's your number one favorite business?
Oh, my favorite. Well, I mean, the retail business is my baby because, and that's where I make the most money. The lending that my wife is building out is probably the fastest and the easiest to scale. I'll tell you, the hardest one is my insurance business. We're building a book. That's the only one where where cash on cash, I'm not blowing it out of the water, right? Like I put in 50 grand that we have a book. I could sell the business for about 400,000 right now, but I could not. But I literally have not been cash flowing from that business. But my business coach made me do a breakdown of where I get the most return on my time invested. So you get ROI, return on investment. What is your ROTI, return on time invested? And my construction company is. I own only 15% of the construction company, but the construction company is the best ROTI because literally my retail business, everybody is needing like big things done. So with it, we don't do small jobs on that. We only do like kitchens, bathrooms, because you get like a 50% margin on that stuff. What's that?
I'll say you don't do anything small, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so this is a tough question, Chris, because all these businesses are paying you, so it's hard to say this is my least favorite. But what is the least favorite, right? And that could be like, you're committing a lot of time for a small amount of return, or maybe it's just a pain or a hassle. Or do you not have a least favorite? Just curious.
Well, I mean, it's like saying which one of your kids is your ugliest?
That's why it's a hard thing to answer, because it's like I love them all. So yeah, maybe you don't have an answer, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say the one that's been the hardest for me to stomach.
There you go. Better way to word that.
Is my insurance company business.
It's a difficult business.
It's like a house that has a lot of equity that's not cash flowing, right?
Got it.
Like that's what that's like for me right now. I could sell it it's worth a lot. I could sell it for a lot, but it doesn't cash flow.
Sure. No, that's a great answer. That is an awesome answer. Okay, so Matt's got great questions today. He's firing them off. I'm going to keep them rolling. So guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, and ask questions. This is what this is all about, right? You guys ask the questions. We're going to bring these in. Audience interaction is really what it's all about. So are they all outsourced? Or I'm going to add to that, are some outsourced more than others? I mean, what kind of time commitment does it take for you to run 11 businesses a week? That's a fabulous question.
I enjoy working. Like I like working probably too much. So that's one of the things where I don't need to spend nearly the amount of time that I spend, but I like doing it. It's funny. My dad and my brother used to always put together puzzles as a kid. And I hated puzzles. I thought it was so terrible. But like just a few years ago, I came to the realization, like building a business it's essentially kind of spatial recognition, putting together puzzles, like always solving problems in your mind. And I ended up boiling down like my genius zone to like 4 things. And one of them is like that problem solving. And so I really, really love that. And now I forgot what the question was because I said something on a tangent. What was it? Remind me the question. I'm sorry.
No, don't. Yeah, you're good. Don't be man. We're just chatting.
Remind me the question again. Remind me the question again, because I ran off on a tangent.
Well, I think we were talking about which ones you like the least, but then we reworded it to really being like, which business is, maybe the most challenging, or, so on and so forth. And you answered it already. You got a lot of equity in it. It doesn't necessarily cash flow a lot. But here's the thing, guys. If you know anything about me, I like equity more than I like cash flow. Reason being is cash flow is income. You got to pay taxes on that. The last thing I want to do is pay taxes, right? So building businesses that have tons of equity, in my opinion, is really a better business than one that cash flows. Now, ideally, they do both, right? But Chris has got 11 businesses over here. So, equity, cash flow, he knows all about that. I think that's awesome. That's very cool. Let's see here. I think it was, let's see, Matt's got another one. Matt's on fire today. I think it was, are they all outsourced? Okay, that's a great question.
No,
yeah, that's what.
Not all of them. Most of them, I have a business partner that runs the day-to-day. And again, if you've read the book Rocket Fuel, most of my business partners tend to be integrators, and I tend to be the visionary. I see my role as in Brandon Burchard and High Performance Habits says one of those high performance habits is that you create energy. And I'm naturally a high energy guy, shocker, right? I'm naturally a high energy guy, but I try to go from business to business and like bring energy, bring vision, kind of work on that. And then my business partners tend to be the other side of that, which tend to be the integrators on it. The businesses where I don't have a partner running the different pieces of it tend to be the businesses that are a little uglier, right? Because like as a visionary, it's more like if you want a door here, I'm going to grab a sledgehammer, I'm going to open up the wall, and it's going to be functional, right? You can get in and out there, but it's not going to be trimmed out. It's not going to be pretty, all the other stuff, but you can go through that door. So the ones where I don't have a great business partner that's a great integrator are the ones where we're still making money, we're still doing well, but we don't have that rocket fuel piece there. But let's see, about 3/4 of them are completely outsourced.
Yeah. Well, you said something important. Sorry, Dave, real quick. You said something important at the start where you said your business coach said, I can't remember how you put it, but basically you can have as many businesses as you want, but you're not the one that's literally running them, right? And that's kind of what you're doing here, is you're backing business after businesses to serve the same thing, but someone else is over like running them, so you're not having to. I guess that is your overall goal, right?
100%. That's exactly right.
And your two that you're actually 2 or 3 is mainly your retail, and then probably your coaching business are the ones that you're probably really heavily involved in, I would guess.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The retail, and the cool thing about the retail business is that's in Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, they call it getting to level 7, which is where you essentially like the business runs itself. So I have a buddy of mine. He's in one of my masterminds. Actually, he's in a mastermind with you and I are in it with Eric Hatch and Aaron West.
I love those guys. Just awesome.
Yeah,
man.
They're great guys.
Those guys are awesome.
This other guy, literally, he had a challenge to go away for a year. So 2019, he left his business for a year. He worked a total of 16 hours in his business, 16 hours in a year, all of 2019, and he still netted just under $1 million. And so I look at that and I say, that is a truly level 7 business. That's a business that it's not a job, right? It doesn't.
You're not a self-employed entrepreneur. You're a business owner at that point.
Right.
Cash flow quadrant 101. Chris, I am so impressed, bro. You have 11 businesses. That's cool. That's cool. You're at a title company closing deals right now, dude. That is awesome. Holy cow. I love it. Dude, very, very cool. Very, very cool. All right, we're getting a couple questions. I want to jump them on the screen. Chris, your opinion is highly valued. So I'm actually going to let you answer this first one. So I just signed up for PropStream. All right. Where do you think I should start to find my first deal? So I think it's going to kind of vary on what kind of deal you're looking for, but let's keep going. What type of motivated seller group, great question, should I focus on first? It's quite overwhelming. It is quite overwhelming when you're first getting started. So Chris, what's your advice?
Well, I know you guys all have the companies that you guys all recommend and work with, so I won't share which one.
No, dude, it's irrelevant. We want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't care about any. Cool. This is about you.
I would say download the Deal Machine app. You know,
I was just on the Deal Machine. Ask Me Anything yesterday.
Boom.
Love it.
I love
on
that.
Great.
And I would just drive around. Driving for dollars, I think, is the cheapest, easiest way to find your first deal. You know, when you're doing deals, you got two choices.
Greg.
You can either Greg, come on, man.
Greg.
You can either trade your time for dollars or dollars for time, right? And so at the beginning of your career, you're trading time for dollars. At some point you hit a success level where you're buying back your time. And so if you're getting your first deal, you're going to have to trade your time for dollars. And here's the way that you do it. I'd say download the Deal Machine app. Go through there, just look for distressed properties. Here's one of the biggest reasons why people fail with driving for dollars is they find 3 or 5 or even 10 houses and they call them all and nothing comes of it. And they're like, this sucks. This doesn't work. Well, you know what? If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? You got to get to like 150 houses and then call through all of them.
Minimum.
The people that you missed.
Minimum.
Right? Like that's that's the whole thing. So don't quit, right? Like that's just it. Like, don't quit. I'll tell you, I mean, there was a study of billionaires, and the one thing that stuck out with these billionaires over and over and over again, when they asked questions, only one of them used this phrase, but then they realized that this was true everywhere. They said that they bounced back well. Right. And so that's the whole thing. Like, when you drive for dollars, are you going to bounce back well? When you call somebody, you call somebody. But like, this is why so many people have quit on the driving for dollars is they see a great house. They picture the $100,000 that they're going to make on that house and how they're going to quit their job and retire and live the life of luxury on a yacht and with their Lambo. And all of a sudden the person doesn't want to sell or they want to sell at like retail price and it doesn't work out. But that's the whole thing. You just got to keep calling and keep calling. So anyway, long answer, go do driving for dollars. Make sure, 300 houses, 500. Like, if you call 500 people and you don't get something, then there's something wrong. But until you've called,
not necessarily people, though.
Don't even say something.
Not necessarily though, man. I mean, like, here's the thing: our average deal takes 4 to 6 months. That's average, right? So we've all seen the sales statistics. Maybe we all haven't actually, but seen the sales statistics where it basically says, the average sale happens after what, the 7th or 12th touch. 7th to 12th touch, right? On the average sale, and any sales category on any type of product or service, right? The average is 7 to 12 touches. I would go as far as say as my average is above 15. Right? Can a deal come in today and you get a contract on it tonight and have a buyer sign tomorrow morning and close it next Tuesday? Of course you can. But guys, those are the rare deals. That's the one in, 500 or whatnot, right? Maybe not that much, but like, maybe let's say 1 in 20, 1 in 30, right? Most deals, you have to nurture these leads. You got to get them in the system. You got to nurture them. But Chris, I agree 100%. Driving for dollars, Deal Machine's a great option, is one of the best ways to get those leads in the system. Yes, man, I love it. So
let me ask this. Don, you can take this one. So PropStream, we all use, right? So if you was going to go in PropStream, what list would you pull? You're brand new. You're going to pull a list in PropStream to find motivated sellers. What are you going to pull?
That's kind of a loaded question. There's a handful of ways you can go, but I always segment lists in the high hanging fruit and low hanging fruit list. So if I'm looking into the path of least resistance, I'm going to think low hanging fruit list. So non-owner occupied list, an equity list, like, 40 to 99%, 40 to 100% non-owner occupied. They're more likely to want to sell and transfer the property to you and close versus I have to find a place and move out. So when you look at the list, you're trying to think in your market, what's going on. I avoid 100% equity in California because they don't usually have problems with the properties because we're a sunshine state. But if you're in the winter and it's snowing where you're at, then you might want to tackle 100% equity as your list, especially if you don't have a big budget, right? You might want to just pull 100% equity and tackle that because they may have issues with, the roof. They may have issues with pipes. They may have issues with things that are property related because they're weather related issues. So look at what's going on in your market in that moment and think what's going to drive a seller to want to sell right now. So the first thing I would do is I would start with non-owner occupied lists. And then I would look at what's driving that seller to want to sell right now in my market. And I would target that if my budget's limited. The unknown equity list is a really good list to go after as well. It's kind of a mix between non-owner occupied and owner occupied. But that one takes a little bit longer sometimes to get to the contract. So ultimately at the end of the day, non-owner occupied is probably where I'd start.
He said, this is a very complex, loaded question. And then he answered it with non-owner occupied.
Yes.
So basically,
I want to layer on like you got to really when you're thinking about lists, when you're thinking about like driving for dollars, what are you looking for? You're looking for motivation. And so when you're thinking about the list, it's not just like I wouldn't tackle 100% equity in California. I just don't, because I found that the brain damage of handling the calls and the money deployed in marketing and what I actually get in return doesn't line up for it to be worth it to me.
I agree.
But if it's wintertime and you're in St. Louis and you got freeze and snow and you have the whole thing you guys had last year where you had apartment buildings with pipes breaking and flooding, like that's the best time to tackle 100% equity.
Dude,
so
agreed.
Don't just think about what's going on in the market right then and there. It's going to drive a seller to want to just be done with that property and have it off their hands and have it owned by somebody else. And when you start to think that way about the list you're tackling, you're going to find a lot more success is the point I want to drive home.
No, I love it. I think that's a great answer.
I think as well, though, you've just got to, when you're new, though, you have to just make decisions, right? Because sometimes when you're new, you're not going to know these things. So I think, the absentee list with equity is definitely the way to go as well, because you're only in the first phase. You're just pulling the list. You've got to still have it skip trace. You still got to make your phone calls. You still got to lock contracts up. You still got to move. There's so many things that you still got to do. So you don't want to use too much when we talk about overwhelm. Overwhelm is a choice by taking on too much information, right? So I think Don has just answered it, and I'm backing him up. Absentee with equity, get it pulled, get call in, and then move down that cycle to getting your first contract.
I love it. I think that's great. I love that. Here's another good question Matt's got. Where do you guys find an amazing integrator? So if you're not familiar with what that means, there's a great book, Rocket Fuel. I think it's kind of like part 2 of it. You had mentioned that earlier. But it's the EOS book. What's it called? I can't remember. Traction. So Traction talks about, building your business out. It's very similar to, what's the other one? E-Myth. E-Myth's a great book too. Very kind of similar in a way, but obviously have their differences. But the integrator is somebody that you bring into your business to actually take what you put up on the whiteboard and make it a reality. That's kind of how I how I look at it, right? I'm a visionary, but I also like to get dirty. I like to get my hands and feet wet and dirty and jump into these things, but I'm not very good at actually seeing them all the way through. And that's where having an integrator in my business helps. And I'm sure all these guys can agree. So back to the question, where do you find an amazing integrator? That's a great question. Chris, what do you got?
Well, so can I take a page out of Don's playbook and say it's a complicated question and then get to the exact answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Those rounds. Go on.
so here's the roundabout answer before I give the direct answer. The roundabout answer is this. One, read a lot of John Maxwell. You're never going to get great folks until you become great, because essentially if you're say a level 3 leader, you're only going to attract people that are level 2 and 1 leaders below you. So one of the things to get an amazing people in your organization, you have to be continuing to level up. And if you get something great in their organization, they're going to keep leveling up. And if you stop leveling up, they're going to graduate from your world and they're going to move on and you're going to lose them. And I've seen that happen with myself, where I just haven't grown fast enough to be with some people. And thankfully, like, it's interesting. I talked to my integrator now in one of my biggest businesses, and actually in a bunch of the groups he's part of with me. And And he's just like, yeah, man, 5 years ago, he's like, if I was where I was today and you were where you were 5 years ago, I would have never gone in business with you. Right. But like the fact is, I've continued to level up so that like our world together continues to grow. Now, with that said, one of my favorite places to go to hire, I mean, obviously there's Indeed, but there's a company called Wise Hire that I really, really like. Actually, the owner of Wise Hire, if you've seen the disc profile that was created, he was the guy that created the disc profile originally. And so, yeah, Wise Hire is where I like to go. So there's my long answer and then my direct answer.
I love it.
And integrators, I just want to add, an integrator is a hard position to fill in your organization. That is truly a relationship that you need to be in line with as a visionary. I brought an integrator into my organization that I wasn't in line with, and it didn't work out really, really well. So it's something that I would just say it's the sexy thing to do. And a lot of people want to jump in, head first into these situations where they think they have to have a COO or integrator. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's something that it takes time. It's usually somebody that you want to develop a relationship with or develop within your organization. From my point of view, I don't know if Chris, you want to challenge that or not, but I've just found that, bringing them in and making sure that they're in the right seat and then developing into your organization or growing them into your organization into that position is very important. I think Dave and I are dangerous in the fact that we are visionaries that can also implement.
I like that.
I think we're extremely dangerous.
Don, it kind of like irks me to just be in that visionary role.
Right.
I'm in the middle, man. I agree.
So, and that can also be challenging when you're trying to bring an integrator in, because your job as a visionary is to come up with the ideas, and the integrator's job is to figure out how to make your ideas reality. And that's as simple as it can be. And if that is not in tune in some way, if your integrator is challenging you or not wanting to implement what you want to implement, it causes friction with your organization. It causes cultural issues. So it's really important to be in line and in tune. And I've had a hard time bringing somebody from outside my organization and right into an integrator role. It's a relationship for me that's had to have been developed. So I don't know if Chris, you want to challenge that, you want to add to that, but.
Well, I would say there's a couple pieces there. One of my best buds, he actually just sold a satellite company for $1 gazillion. And he would always joke about his relationship with the integrator at his company. He said that he would start talking about things, and before they're done with the meeting, he would have his whole list of the ways that they're going to get stuff going. And Joe would be like, whoa, we were just talking. He's already like out the door with it. But then the other side too was Bill, the integrator, would always joke. He'd say, listen, guys, nothing's impossible for the person that doesn't have to implement it. Right.
Right.
So that's the other piece, is you gotta have it. Now, can you bring people in from the outside? I think that's a much harder thing than the homegrown piece. And now that I've got a handful of businesses that have scaled pretty large, at the beginning, I had a massive, massive network, and you can grow them up. I do think that at some point, kind of like scaling, and if you're going into different arenas or different businesses, like I think it'll be hard to kind of grow people up just in the time that it takes to get it done. But I think that what you said is absolutely critical, and that if people don't take into account what you just said there, Don, people are going to hire the wrong person over and over and over again. And they're going to there is literally no pain like having the wrong person, having the wrong person on the bus, and then having the wrong person in the wrong seat is still painful. It's just less painful, if that makes sense.
That was my biggest takeaway from eMyth, is right person, right seat. And you got to have all the seats, whiteboarded out, or else you don't even know that there needs to be a seat there. Right.
Well, yeah. And part of, just to talk about my, I'm very open about some of the struggles I've had in my business, and just, I felt like as a visionary that I needed an integrator, and I went off of personality profiles, and I picked somebody that the personality profile coach said would be a killer and a rock star. And I ignored red flags. And that was on me. That's just growing an experience. But I ignored red flags in the individual as far as our relationship went and some of our belief systems, because I wanted that piece so bad, and I think that's really where I'm trying to get at, is you just really got to take your time with that role and make sure that the person truly has the skill set to be able to, because as visionaries, we can't always explain what we mean. We need somebody that's going to be able to articulate our vision and find that balance of taking that and implementing our vision in a way that can really be successful, but also restraining us in a manner that's like, okay, we can't do 20 things right now, but we can do these 3, so it's a balance. And I want to hit home, like, don't be so fast to fill that position, I guess, just coming from personal experience, with the wrong person. And we're all saying the same thing, but I just want to hammer that home to people, because that's something that I think at some of the level that people are going to watch this at, they're hearing COO for the first time. And that's like the super sexy hotness in your business. If I can be a COO and I'm working on my business, not in my business, then I'm going to have everything I wanted. And the wrong person can take you backwards 10 steps.
Yeah. And I'd love to just talk, one of my favorite things to kind of teach on and work through is scaling out a business. So I see a lot of people are probably newer to it. So I'd love if you guys are open to it, like just take like 3 or 4 minutes and just kind of give a picture of how to scale from like 0 to 1, but then 1 to 10, if that
Let's
works.
hear it. What you got?
So here's my take. Lead with revenue, right? So one of the biggest problems that people have is they're just spending all of this money on stuff thinking that stuff will come in, right? Your business has to earn the right to build out the org chart, right? Like that's the whole thing. Don't go into massive debt hiring all these people and going big, because if you can't close, right? Coffee's for closers, baby. If you can't close, then like at the end of the day, you can't make sales. And if you can't make sales, I don't care how many VAs you have. I don't care how much you send out in direct mail. I don't care all of that stuff. Your business isn't going to have any revenue and you can't do it. So work on yourself on closing first. And as you close, as your business brings in revenue, lead with revenue, then you can build that out. And then once you build that out, the way to go to the next level, one of my favorite books is a book called Clockwork. It's by the same guy that wrote Profit First. Is everything.
Yeah, I love that guy. Andrew McCockowitz or something. I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, Mike McCallowitz. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah. So right on. And what he says is literally buy a sticky pad and then you just write down, this is after you've done your first deal, after you've done a couple deals and you have money in the business. You take some and you pay yourself a little bit, right? But then you reinvest in the business and you just on your sticky pad for 2 weeks, you just write down everything that you do, everything. And then you just put it on the wall. And then you start down what your dollar per hour is and get the stuff that's below your dollar per hour off, and you hire an assistant to handle that stuff, right? You're not hiring sales right away. Because sales is higher level stuff, which is where you need to leverage that later. The first thing that you need to leverage is the stuff that is lower stuff, the stuff that's like assistant, like the stuff for your assistant, right? And so think about it this way. I'm just going to use this because it works well. If you make $100,000 a year, your time is worth $50 an hour, right? So that's how you look at it. If you make $50,000 a year, it's $25 an hour, right? So you start looking at how much you make, and anything below your pay grade, you hire somebody to take care of that. And then all of a sudden your pay grade went up because now you're just focusing on stuff that's higher value. And that's how you scale, is you just keep taking things that are below your new pay grade. Boom, you outsource. New pay grade, boom, you outsource. Till you get to the point where you've got like your $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, and then you're like hiring really high level people for that stuff. So that's how you scale out a business. Is you got to know your pay grade and you got to know what you're spending your time doing, and then continuing to leverage off the stuff that's below your pay grade.
I love it. I want to add to that too. And don't look at it like, by bringing on an assistant or, somebody on your team that, is going to help take some of these tests. Don't look at it like, their role is unimportant or it's undermined. As we grow as entrepreneurs, everybody's going to get some of that love, and everyone's going to get, to share in that wealth that's created, right? But somebody's got to drive the ship. That's the point. I absolutely love that, Chris. I love it. So Matt says, it's hard to find someone with a burning desire the same as yourself. And it is challenging, right? So check this out. Don't partner with somebody that doesn't have an equally burning desire. if anything, hire somebody, right? Because then if you need to replace that person, you can do so. You're not having to get divorced and then get remarried, because that's kind of what a business is, right? You kind of get married to somebody. So I absolutely love that. I love
And
that.
Matt, I'll throw this out there to you. And, this is kind of like pushing back just a little bit. I would say if you focus on your own leveling up like crazy, you're going to start attracting people to you like a magnet. And
Correct.
until you level up to a place where people are going to be running at you like a magnet, like it just means that you need to continue leveling up. And that was one of the hard places for me. I read the book Extreme Ownership, and there were some people that weren't cutting it in some of my organizations, and I was not happy with them. And when I read that book, all of a sudden I realized I was allowing things like that in my organization. I was not being the person that required excellence across all, the organizations. And so that's the hardest thing. But when we start looking at ourselves and say, who do I need to become to attract A-level talent all over the place, where A-level talent shows up at my door and says, I want to be in business with you. I want to be in your world. If that's not happening now, I'll tell you, that's where we need to fight to level up even further and go from there. So hopefully that makes sense. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just something that I learned, that every time I level up, like the level of talent around that shows up at my door ends up being higher.
I love it.
I agree. I agree. I want to add one thing to that. When you say that you're not going to find somebody as hungry as you are, you're the business owner. The reality is no employee is ever going to be as hungry as you
and
are.
They shouldn't be.
Really?
Really?
They shouldn't be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something you got to understand. You want A players around you. You want rock stars around you. But at the end of the day, they don't have the same stake that you have. And that's something you're going to have to accept. And part of scaling, when you start to scale, if you bring on, say the top A player you can find does 90% of what you would do, that's still taking you out of a seat. It's still freeing you up to do more of what you do best. And so you got to accept that as a business owner. You got to accept that as a leader moving forward. You always want somebody that's going to give 110%. We fight to find those people in our organizations, and sometimes we do, and those are the people we fight to hold on to. But the reality is, it's at the end of the day, for most people that come to your organization, it's still a job, and they're not going to live it and breathe it like you do. And that's okay.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Rowena says, thank you guys. I'm highly motivated to get my first deal. I can't wait when it finally happens. I want to recommend a book, 3 Feet from Gold. I haven't read that book yet, but we're getting all kinds of book recommendations, guys. So 3 Feet from Gold. We also talked about good strategy, bad strategy. And Chris also just recently mentioned Extreme Ownership. I am over here taking notes, by the way. I love it. And really quick, Rowena says, lastly, today is my birthday. You just gave me my birthday gift.
Happy birthday.
Your advice. I
birthday,
love it.
Rowena.
Happy birthday. That is awesome. Very, very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, we got a few more minutes before we wrap up. If you have any questions for Chris, now is the time. I do want to respect his time, so I don't want to go too late. But let's say we have maybe 3 to 5 more minutes here. So if you have questions, now is the time. Do not forget to like and subscribe. If you are watching right now, hit that like button. I don't care if you're on Facebook or YouTube, and subscribe so you guys can get notifications when we go live. We do these shows every single week. And last week we almost missed, but we did it. We are going to be consistent with you guys, because that's really what it comes down to. So circling back here to Rowena, she says, I can't wait when it finally happens. It's going to happen. It will. Just don't stop. Consistency is the secret. You want to know the secret to success? It's consistency. It's that easy. Chris has 11 businesses. Do you think if he had a bad day with one of these and just said, oh, I'm done, that today sucked, that he would still have 11? No, you plowed through that. Consistency is the secret to success. So keep marketing, Rowena. Keep making offers. And lastly, don't stop following up. Be consistent. I absolutely love that. We got one more question here real quick.
Hey, here's one thing I'll throw out to everybody. So many people were so kind with me. At some point, I probably have to stop doing this, but at least for now, on my Instagram @CrowdRock, if anybody has any questions or whatever, I've said that me, not somebody on my staff, that I'll answer anything, or anybody just wants to connect, whatever. I'm willing to answer anything. If you send me a DM on Instagram, it's CRADDROCK. Old high school cheesy nickname, not my last name, that somehow is stuck on my Instagram.
What is your IG handle? I'm going to make a comment here for everybody.
At Cradrock, CRADDROCK.
CRADDROCK at Cradrock. We'll make a comment here. And then also, guys, don't forget, you can always go to chriscraddock.com as well. This is definitely a great place for some additional resources. We'll drop that in the comments here. Chris, we didn't even really have a whole lot of time, of course, but like, let's end on this. Matt's got a great question. How are you converting all these dead leads? That is such a great question. And that's really like your secret power. That's your superpower, right?
Yeah.
So
this is my favorite thing.
Advice that you would give the audience, how do you convert some of these? And they don't have to necessarily be dead leads, guys. They could be stagnant too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think I believe that every investor, and success leaves clues, every investor should either get licensed or get somebody in their organization licensed. The guys on here, the ones that are not licensed, they have somebody in their organization licensed, right? Or have own a brokerage or whatever it is. Like, they have that going on. So I think that's one of the big keys. The second is you got to get an agent partner. And it's not just an agent that you send it to. It's a partner agent, right? Somebody that, like, their upside is going to totally dictate your upside, right? Just think about what happens if all of a sudden you had an extra $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month on leads that you were throwing away, $5,000 a month on leads that you were throwing away. So you got to find that agent, and that agent needs to be these things. And this is what they need to be. Anybody that you hire needs to be this: happy, hungry, humble, and smart, right? If you can get those people in your organization across the board, happy, like, you don't want pissed off people because they're just always going to be pissed off. Hungry, right? If the door's shut, somebody says no, they'll climb through the window and figure it out. Not in a creepy way that gets you arrested, but humble. Like, bottom line is, people get confidence and humility mixed up. They live together. Confidence and humility live together. Humility means that you can learn from other people. Like, I look at these guys here. There's some things that I'm better than these guys, and there's some things that these guys are better than I am. Like, I'd love to sit at their feet and just say, hey, how can I learn from you guys? We were just in Tampa last week, and like, sitting around at the dinner table, like, everybody's asking everybody questions and trying to learn from each other, right? If I act like I've got it all together, then I'm never going to learn anything, right? So be humble. And then smart means, like it doesn't mean you've got a massive like SAT score or whatever, but it means you're a quick learner, that you're gonna figure stuff out. You're not gonna pay the stupid tax by doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? So that's what you look for, and then you're able to pass that off, let them convert it on the retail side, send referral fees back. And I'll tell you, you'll make a massive amount of money. You should be able. I mean, I've got some folks, some students of mine in Cleveland right now that they're a month in and they're already paying for their full marketing budget. It's crazy.
Awesome. That is awesome, guys. Check out Craddock over on IG, Instagram. It's CRADD Rock, or go check him out at chriscraddock.com. Chris, thanks for coming on the show. I want to respect your time. Let's go ahead and wrap up.
Real quick, before we wrap up. Dodge, because you won't bring it up, but I want to. You're doing an event, okay, in a few weeks here that I want you to talk about for people watching, definitely on my channel, across all of our channels. I get a lot of questions regarding the Burr method, and I just wanted to give Dave a shout out. He's actually going to be in St. Louis doing an event on Burr. Not many people are doing this in our industry, so make sure you check it out. He's just popped it up, the BurrMethodMastery.com. Get out there, get to St. Louis. Is definitely something you don't want to miss, especially if you're interested in doing that. There is no one better than Dave. If I have questions on Burr, who am I going to call? It's him. So make sure you get out. You're going to be networking with other investors, so get out there. It is coming up here in the next few weeks. So don't miss it. I just wanted to throw that in.
No, I appreciate that. And guys, if you're looking for a mastermind, beinthisroom.com. It is the best mastermind for real estate investors and entrepreneurs, period. So check it out. Chris, thank you so much for coming on.